There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. There are places to go beyond belief, because there lies human destiny.
If some new revolutionary tech is discovered, it's going to be kept secret for a long time because they don't actually want markets being revolutionized or changed. They want things to continue at a certain pace.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are going to be chatting with the one and only Jay Dyer a little bit later from Jay's Analysis. And we got our Kiwi friend, Nathan. Oh, I guess he's not. Are you a Kiwi now, or are you an
Aussie? I'm Australian by nationality, but I live in New Zealand.
I thought I could tell the difference between that accent.
You can be a Canadian, as far as we're concerned. You're a Grimerican Canadian. It's too bad you couldn't get citizenship through Grimerica somehow.
Well, Canada's like my second home, so...
That's right.
Yeah.
And we got fucking Graham Two-Knuckle Deep Dunlop. How's the finger, buddy?
It's getting better. It feels better. Less pain.
Is it?
Yeah.
How long's it been?
Since when?
Since you got it on?
Since, I don't know, Friday? Since Friday?
Oh, is that
5 days? 4 days? 5 days?
So we haven't talked about it on the regular show yet.
Yeah, I think we did. Friday, because Friday.
Oh, that's right.
I think. I'm not sure.
That's right.
I think,
anyway.
yeah.
So I have finger's still all buggered up.
I have a little, what do you call it? A splint for my finger.
For 7 weeks?
We'll see. I think it's healing really fast. She doesn't think it was going to. The doctor didn't think it was going to heal, but I think it's almost ready already.
Yeah. I bet you if you take that off right now, your finger just falls limp on the floor. Have you been doing raking it and stuff?
No, well, kind of. Just visualizing the tendons healing together. I figured that might help.
Can't hurt. Definitely can't hurt. Do you know what a tendon looks like then? Or you
I just think of a little, like, squiggly, wormy looking thing.
Connecting? Yeah. So you're just visualizing, like, worm kisses all day?
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. So how...
Did you say who we're having on today? Did you say Jay Dyer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep up,
That was a fun one. That was a fun one.
Yeah, Jay's great. We'll probably have him on again down the road, or maybe we'll have him on the Black Budget one day and really get political.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we actually managed to brush away from it pretty well.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was pretty solid. It wasn't too polarizing or dogmatic.
Yeah, that's right. Shouldn't be any hate mail.
So I'm pretty excited. I got stories from the C-SETI sleepover last weekend.
Okay, what kind of jingle do you play for a C-SETI sleepover? Let's go with...
We're going to get on it right away?
And as an all-in believer in chemtrails.
Does that work? No? Nathan says no. Okay, we'll let Nathan give...
No, it doesn't work.
Okay, you can choose between the UFO quote jingle or Grimerican goodies.
No, what about the one about the sighting one?
Oh, of course.
Where they walk in the living room? Yeah, this one.
I forgot this existed, actually.
That's awesome.
Page 2 again, right? I always forget the page 2 jingles.
What is that? And it wasn't until after the events happened and it disappeared to the south in the darkness that we went inside. We stayed outside for a couple seconds and we went inside. And she sat on the couch and I went to the bar and I sit on a stool and I took my glasses off and we stared at each other for 5, 10, 15 minutes, who knows. And I got up and I wanted to go back outside, and as I grabbed the door, I looked my wife right in the eye, and I said, we just saw our first UFO. And she looked at me back and she goes, I know.
They saw it.
I know.
Okay, there we go. So yeah, we had it's a new moon, right? Dark sky, which is great. Had our planned...
I think you just named like 2 Twilight movies.
Did I? So many names after this. So, I got to remember one part of this. That was the craziest part of the story. Anyway, so we planned the C-SETI...
We give you the floor, bro. We give you the floor.
Okay, we planned the C-SETI... Oh, come on. That's the lamest thing ever. Okay, so we planned the CSETI instead of our nightly thing, right, or monthly thing where we go out and meditate and look at the sky and try and make contact. We wanted to do a sleepover, right? So we drive a little bit farther out, and some guy had a plan on where to camp, right? He had some other friends there camping. So we met them out there at the campground. It's about like an hour and a half northwest of Calgary. Actually, quite a forested area, way more forested than I thought it would be. Kind of reminded me of BC a bit.
Northwest of Calgary?
Yeah.
Like out past Cochrane, way out past
Yeah,
Cochrane.
like 40 clicks past Cochrane, then 25 or 30 clicks west. Like,
yeah, that's bush.
Yeah.
Bush.
There's like the quadders and some of those guys camping out there. So there's camping nodes, and it's part of the government campground. Yeah, you're out by like
Wyprus, right? Was it in Wyprus?
No, I don't think so.
Wyprus Valley?
Maybe.
Waiporo.
I think it's part of the Ghost Reservoir, which is...
Ghost Lake Reservoir?
Yeah, Ghost Lake. Like, that part of that whole... Obviously, the very northern point to that. Anyways. So we found this where we're going to sort of pitch our tents and camp, and some people are just sleeping in cars.
Pitch and tent means something different in my day.
And some people had a trailer there, and some people were sleeping in their cars. Like, there wasn't many of us, right? Really good group of people, right? Met a new friend, Randy. Big shout out to Randy, and then Jason and Celia and Jan, and Sheila's mom was there. Really, so there's 6 of us, right? So we went down the road to see where a better place would be, because there was some campers kind of nearby. So we wanted to be on. Were you the only
tenter?
No, Jason had a tent.
Did you have the smallest tent?
Yes, I did. Okay. Yeah. So we went down the road about 13 kilometers we found this little area. Actually, there was some cows grazing there and stuff. And we saw wild horses too. Actually, wild ponies. Yeah, really cute ponies.
The cows? Were they by the cows?
No, they were on their back.
Sounds a lot like a farm. So
we found this cool little place where you had a bit of a view, like a view to the east, and we thought, okay, well, we'll come here and do it, right? So we went back and kind of, pitched our tents and got ready, and then we all went back there for the night, for the event. I brought a singing bowl this time, and Celia had actually had a book, and there was a meditation in the book, and I decided to read that meditation. So we all got set up, and it's just getting dark, probably around 10 o'clock or something. And we were chit-chatting about our sightings and stories and stuff like that, which we figured later on it would help. And then we did the meditation, and I did the singing bowl, and then shit starts happening right away. Pow! Like streakers coming down.
Streakers?
Yeah.
Like streaking?
Yeah.
Like Will Ferrell streaking?
A lot of supposed
like star streakers?
Supposed satellites, legend satellites. Actually, that's what we were calling them.
But nothing that leaves low Earth orbit, so that can't be the case, right? Is that where you're going next? They can't be satellites,
No, not at all.
Do you guys use like Sputnik when you're doing it?
No, actually, we sometimes do, but we had no service out there. But we were using the Skyview app for sure. So, darkest night, most stars I've ever seen. Like, it was beautiful. Milky Way, unbelievable. Crystal clear. It was awesome. So we started seeing streakers right away, which is like a shooting star, but it's you could see the red flame and the orange, like there was colors, and it was orange and red, and a couple of them came down all the way down the sky. Like, that was pretty crazy. But still, satellites cruising around. We started seeing flash bulbs. And at one point, we all saw it. Hey, big flash bulb, right? And we're all like, hey, there it is. And we all start looking at it. We're going to do it again. Does it again. We're all like cheering. And it went on like 7 times, like these flash bulbs. And we were trying to pick up like when are these sightings happening, right? So it seemed to be like when we were telling stories about each other's sightings and stuff, shit would happen, right? Or when I played a singing bowl, like streakers would happen. So we ended up seeing one flash bulb like 49 times. And so there was multiple flash bulbs. And then we saw a light come through within airspace. Like it felt closer than a plane, like a small, let's say if it was a small plane, right? Super bright light, cruising in silently. We're all just like, look, what is that? We're all trying to like give us a sign, give us a signal, and it looked like it was wobbling by, and it's just silent, and it cruised all the way across the sky, silently, slowly. And that same thing came back about an hour and 40 minutes later, closer even still. And I'm telling you, like, it wasn't a plane. Don't know what it was, didn't really, like, do any flashing that time or anything like that. It was just, like, silently flying by in close airspace.
Close airspace? Like 10 feet?
No.
1,000 feet?
Like, 1,000 feet. Something like that. It's hard to tell. It really was hard to tell because, of course, it was super dark. You know, we saw a ton of supposed satellites as well. Some of them doing weird maneuvers. Like, they weren't just fast walkers and going all over the place. More flash bulbs. Like, there was a ton of activity. And then we saw one. So then this car pulls up on the side of the dirt road. And because we were at our laser pointers out, like, everybody had laser pointers, so we'd point at things, right? Like, yeah, look over there, there's a flash bulb coming back or whatever, right?
Can you see the laser in space?
Oh, yeah, all the way up to... what?
Where do you see the laser? You can see the laser, like, shining?
All the way up to the sky, yeah. You can point to a star, and the laser, you could follow the laser to a star.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you gotta be careful. You can't do it in airspace. Like, we're on nose hill, you gotta be very careful if you're doing it around airplanes.
I wonder if it was the Hawk, the stealth helicopter in close airspace.
No.
You guys are fucking pointing your laser pointers at airplanes.
So this is what we were thinking. So we had our laser pointers going, and this car pulls up, and these guys get out, and we're thinking, just be quiet. Okay, wait, what are they gonna do?
Gotta get over.
What are they gonna do? I'm trying to whisper, but it's not coming through. And then we're like, did they see the laser pointer? What are they going to do? Are they going to yell out to us? Are they, like, we didn't know if they were just other campers or if it was like a park range. Like, not that we're in a park, but it could be
an authoritarian
figure.
It could be government. It could be the government.
So they get out of their truck, and then we see another light, bright light, twist around and turn, and then dim, and then go and stop, and then start again and go off. And we're like, what the hell? And then they got up in their car and drove away. Like, so right in the middle of us trying to we're freaking out about this these guys stopping on the side of the road. We see this fucking UFO above them. And we're all like, look, we're trying to be quiet because they're right there. And we're like,
those people didn't know you were there. You were hiding from them?
Well, I don't think they saw us because it was quite dark where we were. We were probably like 200 or 300 yards from the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh. And there was, like, powering up. There was some that would power up, like, yeah. So then it gets weird at the end of the night. So that was, like, all kinds of sightings, right? Now, the weird one, I won't tell you. I'll tell you what it was. So this is towards the end of the night. We're trying to get ready to leave, right? And this guy points over to the horizon. So directly to, I would think, probably the east. No, the north. I think it was the north. And he's like, what is that? And I'm looking at it, and I had this intuition of what it was right away. And I won't tell you guys that yet. But I was like, no, it's not that. It looks like this amorphous blob of green-blue energy. Like, I was like, what is that? And it was right on the horizon. There's some trees, like, the horizon is trees as well and stuff, right? And it's coming on the horizon. And I stood up and I sort of ran a little closer, and we were sort of trying to communicate with it. We're like, and there was a flash bulb happening near it as well, which was really interesting. So we were trying to say, are you like, is it like, it looked like green and blue energy streams or a blob, like it looked like something physical. And I was like, what is that? And we were all sort of flipping out, like, what is it? I expected it to come closer or something. And we were asking what it was, and then the flash would come on if we knew, like, the flash bulb would go off as we'd ask questions. And then at the end, we're like, are you the Pleiades? Like, are you the Pleiades? And then the guy said, one of the guys said something, and the flash bulb went off again. And anyways, my initial reaction to it was the Pleiades, right? Because we were looking for the Pleiades before in Taurus the Bull, because it's that really faint cluster of stars that it's hard to focus on, it's hard to see. So what this thing was, and it must have been coming through the horizon or the northern lights or something, it was Pleiades rising, the rise of Pleiades, the constellation. over the horizon.
What time was this?
Like 2:30 probably.
You guys didn't get much sleep, did you?
No. But I mean, honestly, that was the most weirdest hallucinatory thing I've ever. I was like sure that it was this blob of green and blue energy.
Huh.
Because you know how when a moon rises on the horizon and it looks big,
When
right?
a moon or when the moon?
A moon. If you're on a different planet, it's another moon, right?
Allegedly. We don't know.
What do you mean? There's other planets and lots of moons. Wouldn't you love to be on a planet with like 3 or 4 moons going around?
But no one's ever seen that.
Well, some might have.
For all we know, it doesn't exist.
Did you know you can see Jupiter's moons through binoculars?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, not through binoculars.
Apparently. I want to get myself a good pair of binoculars.
So you got to be night binoculars then, right?
No, I think when you focus on Jupiter through certain times, you can see the moons.
Can you see like the blackout? That'd be cool. Little blacked out spots.
I don't know. Anyways, that was a really
telescope.
That was a really trippy thing, seeing the Pleiades on the horizon, and honestly thinking it was something weird.
We should get a little telescope.
Yeah, we should.
One day, yeah, that'd be good to have. So just think how great that'd be on a sea city adventure.
Anyways, everybody had a great time. It was tons of fun, lots of activity. Honestly, lots of unknown fucking things going on.
No drama.
What do you mean?
No drama?
No missing time?
Like Stephen Greer
drama?
No
missing time? No crying?
Did you take your pants off and show off the calves? Nobody cried? Did you have the calves out?
Okay, enough of the fun and games.
He's had enough of the calves. Shit.
Yeah, enough of the fun games. No, it was Stephen Greer.
Oh, that's what upset you? Sorry, Graham.
Yeah.
I got that extra webcam now. That's going to point at calves.
Yeah.
So people can hope for short stays. Please be wearing
leg
shorts.
days at the gym.
Graham wears shorts like 10 months of the year, so things are looking good.
I have a question though regarding your experience, Graham.
Yeah, please do.
Did you get the chance to use night vision goggles?
Somebody had them, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But it was, I think it's a monocular, and it's it focuses in really tight.
Right.
So I find it hard to so let's say you're moving it around. I think you can kind of focus on a star, but you can't get a super close view of the whole.
The good autofocus ones are so expensive.
Yeah. But so I didn't even try that one actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because I've heard that I guess with the expensive ones, that you can see dog fights, UFOs fighting each other in the sky that you wouldn't see with your normal telescope or your normal binoculars.
Yeah.
Well, when can I come? I need to see this stuff.
Well, I don't know. When can you improve your attitude over?
When can
you improve your attitude over this whole phenomenon? Well, you can't be shown unless you believe.
Well, that sounds super culty. Just saying. Isn't that how cults start? Usually when the cult leader's asking you to,
Well, you said, how can I need to see to believe? And I'm like, you need to believe to see, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, I mean, I know you see
that sounds like faith. I gotta have faith.
I want to believe.
You just gotta have a positive attitude.
I do have a positive attitude.
As you make fun of me and Greer and everybody else, right?
I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of Greer. I believe you when you say you see
No,
stuff.
I know you do. I know. Yeah. But you don't believe him?
No.
There's other groups out there
I believe
doing
some,
it.
I believe that he had some stuff, but now I think that
it's past that now.
He's past that, and it's all about money and boats and hoes.
Well, I mean, we had Costa and Hollis on, and they have a whole separate network of groups around there, right? And,
I love Costa and Hollis.
Yeah. And then there's some more people doing their own groups as well. So I mean, it's not just Greer. I mean, we call it CSETI because that's sort of the brand, right?
Let's start calling it Costas.
ET Let's Talk.
Let's start calling it ET Let's Talk.
Well, we do it on a different night though, right? So we were on the
Wait, what? There's 2 nights? Do you have an ET Let's Talk and a CSETI group?
No, but we do it on different depending on the night, right?
So can you just call it ET Let's Talk? Couldn't you guys just be your own chapter?
Well, we kind of are, but it's
so why don't you go with his instead of his?
Well, because they do it on different nights, right? The CSETI one is on a different night. Of the ET Let's Talk is on
it's
a
like
new
a
moon.
giant group effort.
Sometimes, it's all around. You get the emails from ET Let's Talk. They're all around the.
I don't read them. I'm sorry, Costa. I don't read the emails.
You told me you
no,
liked the emails.
So
they gave you an update and all that. You were happy about it last time.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You're changing your story here.
It was too much. Like an email a day. It seems like a lot of people are signing up, though. I think the emails I get are people signing up. So that's why I signed up.
So thank you to everyone who participated in this past Saturday's Global CE5 initiative. So they're calling it a Global CE5 initiative, right? Instead of CSETI. So CSETI is like the brand of Greer, right? This is the Global CE5 initiative.
So you see, he gets mad when I make fun of his leader. I can make fun of Graham, but don't talk about Supreme CE5 leader.
No, there's no leader here.
Okay. Saw how defensive he got, though, right, Nathan?
Little hair on
He said, you could talk about me, but you don't say anything about Greer.
So last Saturday would have been connected with the ET Let's Talk and CSETI. I mean, maybe that's why it was such an active night, because both those groups are doing it. But they don't always line up the same, right? Because one's on a new moon. One's on the nearest Saturday to a new moon, and the other one's on the first Saturday of every month, or something like that.
What if the first Saturday of the month's a full moon?
Well, then they line up together. That's
what if it's a full moon?
a new moon.
What if it's a full moon? Who's going to look on a full moon?
Maybe CSETI does it. I'm not sure exactly how they do it. But, so for this...
You're telling me my story's changing? Your story's full of holes. I'm going to say that we're part of ET Let's Talk.
So let me just show you the rundown here. What happened here? Just lost it.
So do you think with the GoPro you'll be able to film it? Do you think you could get one of these things on film? Or does that fuck it up now?
It might fuck it up. I know, because
I
know that might happen. I mean, people were taking some pictures, some videos, but it's really hard to catch that stuff. Plus, I didn't want to. To me, it was more important to experience the sighting than to try and take a picture that's just going to be a light in the sky or whatever. Like, how do you catch a flashbulb, right?
You have to be videoing constantly.
Yeah, exactly. All over, right?
Well, strap the GoPro to your head. You're good for like 60 hours.
Really? And then just everywhere I look is that thing.
Yeah.
And then just sift through the data.
Yeah.
I wonder how it would look with a GoPro strapped to my head, though.
When you see, after you see something, go like this a couple of times so that we can put it on fast forward and see the hand flashing, and we know to stop around there and take a look.
With a telescopic lens.
I don't know. That might be an idea, though. So there was 166...
It looked like a unicorn. Maybe we could get a rainbow telescopic lens.
There was 166 total ET contact sites in 22 U.S. states and 13 countries. So that was...
And did everyone succeed?
I don't know. I didn't get like a full update or anything like that. But I'm just giving you the rundown of like that's the cost in Hollis. Like
sounds cool. I want to go. I won't believe you till I go.
It was a beautiful night. It was a beautiful night.
And I'm going in skeptical. And if you guys can't believe me, then that's it. Can you imagine if I go there and we don't see anything? Ooh.
Then you're never coming back.
No, that's it. And
that's the problem. So you better improve your attitude.
If I go there and I don't see anything, I don't ever need to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
I've done my job.
So yeah, that's that. Do you want to stick with the UFO topic? I do have a small quote for you as well.
Down and Graham going deep. It's a profound UFO quote of the week. Words to ponder and critique. It's a profound UFO quote of the week.
This is interesting. So this is from the CIA.gov website. This is from the CIA website, the reading room. I searched UFO in the reading room, right?
Right.
So this is called... Where did it go? Argentina, Antarctic flying saucers. What's the commonality between those two?
What's what? Argentina and Antarctica?
Yeah.
They're like 100 miles apart?
The Germans, the Nazis went there after the World War. Right?
It would be the closest place.
They migrated to Argentina, but they also took control of Antarctica.
They can be close to Antarctica.
Maybe. So, Antarctic flying saucers. A group of red, green, and yellow flying saucers has been seen flying over Deception Island for 2 hours by...
Can you imagine if the whole... Sorry.
Christ.
Can you imagine if the whole thing, with all this weird political shit, was that the Nazis were like completely powered up again down at Antarctica, and they're like, any day they're coming fucking bursting out, and no one knows how to tell anyone that we didn't beat the Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But how are the socialists going to react to National Socialism?
I don't know. But I mean, the Nazis could. Some people argue that the Nazis are openly running the place, anyways. As far as like Project Paperclip and all the people that did come in and run high levels of the government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they're accusing all the opponents of being Nazis, because that's what they learned to do from Solinsky, right?
You'd be good at opera.
So these have been seen flying over Deception Island for 2 hours by Argentine, Chilean, and British bases in Antarctica. The flying saucers were also seen flying in formation over the South Orkney Islands in quick circles. Buenos Aires, ANSA, Spanish, 1556, Central Time, July 6, 1965.
Can you just charter a boat and go to Antarctica?
No, you can't. Nobody's allowed there.
Well, I think we should test that theory, because Jared Drake has been to fucking Antarctica,
Really?
yeah. Twice.
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, you can go to Antarctica, but the thing is, you're only allowed at certain points.
So what if we just go to that base camp city and we just run off from there?
Yeah, you're not
You
even
die shortly thereafter. It's
going to be pretty precarious. Yeah, like we have to be. I'm not suggesting we're going to do it per se, or that I want anyone else to do it because I said so.
What do you
But maybe
suggesting?
if there was some super campers, Bear Grylls maybe. Bear Grylls and Survivor Man can go together.
Wasn't that guy that we were going to have on there? Wasn't he trying to fund a scientific expedition there?
I don't know. I know our Kiwi friend has been there.
Agnew?
You've been there, I guess, because New Zealand can't be far from Antarctica.
No,
either.
it's not that far, but no, I haven't been there. It's like you can actually get on I guess it's a chartered boat down to Antarctica, but it's like anywhere between $8,000 to up to $20,000. But the thing is, you can only go to certain parts of the continent, and you're not like. And when I say
you're not allowed to the entrance of Earth?
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Well, you're not allowed to go into the actual main land part of it. It's like, unless you're in some kind of government agency, it's restricted. And there was actually a documentary that I watched a few months ago from, I don't know if you're familiar with Truth Stream Media.
Mm-hmm.
They had this documentary. I think it went for like 45 minutes to an hour, and they were basically pointing out that itself and how it was so strange that no one's allowed on like the main part of Antarctica or in the larger portion of the actual continent, except people that work in particular agencies of certain governments. And then, I mean, we still don't know what they're doing in that area, like all those parts. And it's, people like us, for example, we can only really go down to, maybe watch the whales or look at the penguins and just your regular tourist type things, but that's still so expensive, and that's it. That's all you're limited to. It's really weird.
Is it because they're sick of rescuing people?
Well, they probably are.
People die rescuing other people.
There's too many. If you watch this thing, and you'll see that it's
we're not going to watch it now.
No,
put it on now.
No, but I'm just saying, watch this thing and you'll see.
I thought you were putting
That's just my finger in the spread.
Yeah, because you're pointing all the time. Two-knuckle Dunlop.
Watch this thing and you'll see that it's not that simple. There's a lot of coincidences.
Well, can you send me the link to that?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
Yeah, I'll watch that shit. I love Antarctica stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we should focus fully on it.
I was trying to find Antarctica people, but it's hard to find someone to talk to.
They even go into Admiral Byrd.
Oh, yeah,
I'd love to do a couple shows in Antarctica. If you can find me the people, if we can find some people, but I couldn't find anyone really to email even when I was looking into it.
And it might even be a good idea to actually get Melissa and Aaron Dykes, who actually do True Stream Media, and interview them.
I want to do. Yeah, I want to get into doing some more like sort of collaboration shows.
Yeah,
I want to start doing one every like couple of months if we can.
Yeah.
As a bonus episode, not for the Black Stream, but for the
Well, people won't know what the Black Stream is. Maybe we should talk to it about, say hi to the new listeners and mention our Black Stream, Black Budget Support Stream.
Black Stream, don't cross the Black Streams.
Do you have a jingle or something?
I don't think. Oh.
If they make you laugh, if they make you cry, if they blow your mind, why not go online to Grimerica.ca/support?
So,
Felix is going to kill me too because I haven't put the other one on here yet.
do you want to explain this? So we have a bunch of extra content. We're putting out a bunch of extra content for the people that donate to the show. So this is staying the same completely. Grimerica is staying the same completely. What? Well, one or two shows a day. 1 or 2 episodes a month, yeah. So different, maybe some more controversial episodes, some different type of episodes. So yeah, any donation will get you access to that stream. Any donation, any one-time donation, any monthly subscription. And yeah, if you can't afford it, that's fine.
Or blood.
But we are trying to keep it ad-free, and we're trying to get more subscribers to pay off our debt and make some plans here in the studio.
Yeah, that's right. We wanted to do some stuff that's maybe a little less, some stuff that's maybe A, a little more personal, B, some stuff that's more controversial, and just some stuff that doesn't really fit into the regular feed that could, you know?
Yeah.
And at the same time, we got a bunch of great people who support and produce the show and really help us push forward, do new things, and, you know, grow and pay the bills. And without those people, there would be no show. It's simple as that. If we didn't have the support we had now, there's no way we'd be here 4.5 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we decided to help those people out, or not help them out, but reward them in a sense with more of our bullshit.
So how do you do that? You go to Grimerica.ca/support, right?
Yeah, and sign up for any monthly, and you're in.
Do they need to know how you're going to do that? You're going to send an email?
You'll get it as soon as you sign up. Yeah, we'll probably get it within a day.
Sign up, and then the email comes out.
I do it manually. It's not like
you do it manually.
automatic.
Yeah, it's not automatic. Yeah. So.
And I might miss people. So if you don't have it, just email me. We're literally a 2-man operation.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah.
With some help. A lot of help.
A lot of help from a lot of listeners.
A lot of help from a lot of people that are far away.
Yeah.
That's a way to support the show. Just send us your blood. Donate to Grimerica. It'll feel real good. Donate to Grimerica. All will be right with the world. Donate to Grimerica. It'll feel real good. Donate to Grimerica. All will be right with the universe. We could just start harvesting blood from our listeners and selling it. You're going to have to extend ink a bit. That's a way to support the show. Just send us your blood.
I don't even remember you saying that.
Me neither.
That's a way to support the show. Just send us your blood.
Man, these guys pull these clips out, and I don't even know where they come from.
You know what it is by this point, it's become a running gag. So when people hit it, they just beep, timestamp.
Oh, really?
Guaranteed. Guaranteed those fuckers in the chat room and Felix, because they've been collaborating now on some jingles. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a whole little, what would you call it, posse? Jingle posse.
Yeah.
Remember on the chemtrails one that failed sent in? I'm actually going to play this episode out with that.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, and I think there's James Cruz does a cameo.
Right. Yeah, so we're talking about the perpetual chats that we have going on, and it's a Discord chat app, I guess. Did you have to do it on an app?
You just got to go to Grimerica.ca/chats.
Yeah.
That should get you there,
and that's all in the show notes.
And if not, if you can't get into the chats, I know some people have been trouble, if you go to the Hangout, there's a support team in there that'll get you over to the chats. Grimerica.ca/hangout if you just can't figure it out.
Yeah.
That's your last resort.
And thanks
But
to
it seems to be working on
team.
all platforms. People are doing it on their computer and on their phones and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fun group of guys and girls.
Oh, yeah, people are quitting smoking. People are starting
podcasts.
podcasts.
God, yeah.
I think Grimsteak's on day 24 or something of quitting smoking.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, so if you want to quit smoking, email us in, support the show, send us your name, and we'll publicly shame you until you do.
So how was your trip, Nathan? You were at a festival, right?
Which one was better?
Oh, did he tell you about his synchronicity today? Did you tell Darren about the synchronicity?
No, I didn't mention it because I didn't have it kind of official until I sat in here earlier today. Yeah. And
well, you might as well
noticed
it. Oh, wait. Here, let's do a special synchronicity jingle for Nathan since he's in studio. This is the first ever synchronicity jingle.
It's time for another installment of the Canadian Third Party
synchronicity, rating authority.
Love that. Those are beautiful.
Okay. So yesterday I was downtown just wandering around, just doing a little bit of window shopping, I guess. And I walked into Indigo Books. I think it was in the TD Center. Yeah. And
man, you should have texted me.
Oh.
I went for lunch like literally across the street from the TD Center.
Oh. Well, I don't know what time it was that I was there. I actually wasn't focusing on my phone. But anyway, yeah, I walked into Indigo Books just for the hell of it, just to kill some time. And I went over to the New Age spiritual section, and I saw this book, Quantum DNA Healing, Consciousness Techniques for Altering Your Genetic Destiny by Althea S. Hawke. And I just happened to pick it up because I thought it just really jumped out at me, the book. Picked it up, read a little bit of the back, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. But the thing is, I thought straight away of a friend of mine who I just felt like that would be something for her to read. So I took a photo of it, and I ended up sending her the photo of the book cover. But, yeah, earlier on this afternoon, when I got here in the igloo, I sat here on the seat, and I just sort of turned around to the side and looked at all the books, the book collection that you guys have, and it just blew my mind. The first one? Yeah, the first book.
I was going to say, I thought we have that book. That's why I just picked it up and looked at it.
The first book he looked at was that same book.
The first thing that my eyes went straight to was the top of this, and I was like, no way. That's just strange.
Oh, so that's our book, not yours? Book, yeah. Oh, I thought that was your book. I was just looking on the shelf. I was like, I swear we have that book.
No, see, I didn't buy it. I took a photo of it in Indigo to send to my friend. But the fact that I turned around and saw this here, I just was like, what the hell? That's super strange.
And then that's the friend that you were talking about last time that you want to have on the show, maybe, right? She's into shamanism and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Well, that means that the universe wants you to have that book.
Well, I don't know.
That's what he thinks, but I was like, well, we want to have her in the studio. I've been bugging you to get her in the studio.
You can have the book. Well, we'll just buy one.
Well, the thing is, I'm not sure.
Oh, this is her book?
No, this is your book.
It's our book.
Now I'm confused. Yeah, it's our book, but who's coming in the studio?
Nobody. Yeah. Well, I was bugging you to get her in here because she's from Calgary, local. So we get in studio.
Well, yeah, we could do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
but we could still give Nathan the book.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure if this particular book, after having that synchronicity, I guess it
was meant for her.
Was meant for her or me now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, what the hell?
Well, now you just have to read it tonight or before you leave town.
No, his friend is in New Zealand, right? Where's your friend?
My friend, she lives in Edmonton.
Oh, Edmonton.
She's the one that I was talking about getting on to talk about, Western shamanism yeah. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
So you have to read it before you leave.
Yeah.
And then leave it here.
Yeah, anyways, take that book with you and we'll get another one.
Yeah. And we'll give you a 7.
Oh,
that's not bad.
It's tough to give people bad scores in person when it's not you.
Hey, I don't mind.
So what else do you have a couple other stories for us?
It's actually, I'll give you a 6.92. Because it involves the show.
I'll take it.
Oh, so I can save face. So how's the festival? Which one's better?
Well, the thing is, they're both their own flavor of festivals. So, I mean, did you want me to talk about them both briefly, or did you want me to just choose, there's Luminosity Gathering in British Columbia that I went to, and then the following week, which was just last week, was the one I went to in Montana, which was Pirate Party. So they both had things that I took away from. I mean, I don't know, I can cover things from both, or I could choose one.
Up to you.
All right. So I'll cover them both briefly.
Perfect. That's what I was going to hope you were going to pick. It doesn't have to be super brief, don't you know?
Yeah. Well, in regards to festivals, in the past I've had experiences with entheogens. So I went and indulged a little bit with maybe a little bit of LSD or mushrooms. And I just, I guess this time, my experience, I wanted to have something that was completely sober, and especially after, I guess, how we discussed the holographic kinetics experience that I had. After coming away from that that energy work session, that it just sort of has started to make me reassess my relationship with plant medicines, psychedelics and such. And I just wanted to just take a stop, have a little bit of a halt, and do something a little different, something that I, haven't done in the past. So, Luminosity Gathering in BC, I went with another friend of mine from here in Calgary. It was just me and him. And we went, and it was a beautiful festival, really only 400 to 500 people. Probably about maybe an hour and a half's drive from Vancouver, I think. But I just found it was really a different type of feeling and a different experience to be at a festival where the majority of the people around you are, blissed out on, mushrooms or acid or some, they're, getting high. And I mean, not everyone's doing that, but a large amount of people are doing that. And I found myself experiencing what it was like on the outside as the observer looking in, not participating in something I may have done in the past. And it was actually quite interesting. It was good to be more fully aware of myself, just being completely aware of my body, my mind, my heart space. I had more clarity at a particular environment like that, and I think that was quite good because, sometimes we connect with people in ways on psychedelics, and then you come away from that, and it's sort of you might miss things that, like, if you're being sober, like I was able to have really in-depth, very I guess profound in their own right conversations with certain people that I think to myself after that, I wonder how this conversation would have been if I was, tripping on something and having these psychedelic experiences. I may not have been able to connect with this person at this particular type of level of, thought and
genuineness or something like that, or
yeah, and like be able to sort of really take in what they were saying and being able to explain things about myself to that person so they could really, connect with what I had to say. So I found that to be some experiences that was really interesting, and I took away from that just something that I quite enjoyed. It was quite good because I've found in the past that I've had times when I've been experiencing a particular psychedelic, and I've come across someone and I've connected with them, and they've been beautiful people, but the experience after, like I might have stayed in touch with a particular person, and the experience after that, I've realized down the line that we don't really have that much in common, or it's like the communication is really just not there, and it's like, well, now that I'm having connections in a different way, maybe it's now giving me the opportunity to have more of an openness to someone, and that would show me right there and then if I want to continue the connection with the person rather than just bang doing it and having this. I mean, sometimes they could be mind-blowingly beautiful experiences, but afterwards it may not have been what you initially thought because you were in a different kind of mental state.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was something I took away from that was really nice to look at. I guess it was the same with the Pirate Party Festival. Very similar. It was nice to have that ability to be the observer and just focus on what's going on around me in a more grounded mind state. But at Luminosity Gathering, there was a few times when I walked away from the festival, like the main stage and the marketplaces and such, and I walked into the woods for a little bit, and I had like some things on my mind that I just wanted to put out to the universe and just ask for assistance and some guidance with some things. And I had like 4 different things that I wanted to cover, like 4 questions about some things that I'm planning on trying to do for next year. And I said the first thing, and then as soon as I said the second thing, like at literally like the very end of when I said the second thing, that what I'm looking at possibly choosing, from my right, a single deer walked out from a tree, only a few short meters in front of me, and it just stopped me in my tracks. And like it was just, I just stopped speaking. It blew me away because it just walked out in front of me, and it went from the right to the left really slowly.
Is that a pirate party or Luminosity?
Luminosity, this was, yeah. And the first thing that came to me was, nature's always speaking to us, but sometimes we're not always seeing or hearing. And sometimes when we slow down and actually, it's like meditation, your intuition, messages we might get, sometimes we're just not focusing, even though there's messages that are there for us to receive. It's kind of like that, I think. And it just, I'm still like, I'm thinking to myself, well, what I just said at the time, this is what I was thinking right then, maybe what I've just said then, maybe that's the answer that I need, the choice that I want to make for, but maybe I need to sort of take it and sort of just keep it open and just keep sort of searching. And, I take everything with a grain of salt, but it was just really interesting. It was really strange that happened, and it was just so. It was quite profound, to be honest.
Can I read you something?
Sure.
If your deer was your spirit animal, have you read that at all?
I haven't actually looked into.
I'll just read it and see.
Oh, right.
So when you have the deer as a spirit animal, you are highly sensitive and have a strong intuition. By affinity with this animal, you have the power to deal with challenges with grace. You master the art of being both determined and gentle in your approach. The deer totem wisdom imparts those with a special connection with this animal with the ability to be vigilant, move quickly, and trust their instincts to get out of the trickiest situations.
Huh.
Okay, I got a confession to make.
That's interesting.
I hit a baby deer on Sunday. I'm feeling terrible about it.
Really?
Just jumped out of nowhere.
No.
I seen his little body go rolling off, and that was it. I pulled over, but...
So it's dead?
Yeah.
Really?
The big...
Really?
Yeah.
A baby deer?
On my way back from dropping off cars.
No way. Wow. That's pretty...
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
Thanks, Debbie Downer.
I thought it was kind of synchro.
Did you hit it in the head? Did it?
Yeah.
Wow. So it went fast.
It happened fast enough, but it all happened in slow motion at the same time.
Did it?
Yeah.
Really? You could tell. Did it damage your car? Not that matters, but...
Well, there was a little dent in the car. I just pounded it out with a hammer.
Jeez.
It was in the hood, so it was easy to just lift the hood up. So, yeah.
Wow.
That was kind of like a synchronicity.
Yeah.
But before you get too crazy off on don't go too woo-woo on the deer, because this is...
Yeah.
Sorry, Nathan.
No, it's fine.
It wasn't Sunday when you saw the deer. That would be...
No.
Yeah, that's why I asked if it was at pirate party.
Right.
Nathan was seeing a deer while I was hitting a deer.
Yeah,
that would be kind of weird.
That would be very synchronistic, yeah.
No. All right, so I'll just give you a quick rundown on what happened at Pirate Party, because there was 2 things that I found.
Can you give us a rundown of what Pirate Party is? It is exactly as it sounds?
Party,
yeah. So Pirate Party is another festival in music festival, electronic music in Montana in the U.S.
It sounds sexual to me for some reason.
Sorry?
It sounds sexual to me for some reason. Why is that?
I mean, a lot of these types of festivals, there's a lot of sexuality moving around everywhere.
Yeah, but Pirate Party seems a bit... Why is that? Pirate.
Because you're a pervert.
It was a big party. Like, I mean, Graham, I was talking to you earlier about Motion Notion in BC, in Golden. And that's a party. I mean, I went to that once. But Pirate Party is more of just a straight party. It's completely different. Americans do festivals a little bit different than Canadians. It's just a different feel, different vibe. But it was a beautiful festival. It's great. It was really a lot of fun. Yeah. That was the second one I went to, and I chose to do sober again. Same kind of thing. I mean, it's not just festivals. I'm just at this point in my life, I'm just reassessing everything. So I'm sort of just still sort of searching within myself to see what's going to happen from here to my soon-to-be future, I guess. But yeah, there was a few things that were incredible. Like, I mean, I saw some amazing electronic artists that blew me away. And, you know, I loved it. It was great. I actually had some really good experiences with, you know, just dancing for hours and not having to take anything to keep me up until like 3, 4 in the morning. And, you know, but one thing that really stood out for me, and I think I was talking to Graham, I think I was talking to you about it earlier, that sometimes we can have expectations for certain things in life, and we want to have experiences happen to us, like, you know, it's like we have like high expectations. We're going to do something, or we're going to, whether it be like an energy session or a workshop or a concert or a festival or a date or who knows, anything, and you just want there's something that you just want to experience, that you want to walk away from and go, wow, that was like life-changing, it blew my mind. But you have like a particular way in your mind almost that you think that's going to happen. I tried to have no expectations at this festival. And even though I did my best, like, I mean, there's still that little bit in the back of your mind that you just sort of like, oh, I'm really just wanting this to happen or this to happen. Or even when I was at the festival, you know, I'd be dancing and looking around and like, you know, there's amazing like people just everywhere, you know, like just, you know, you just want to like make friends with everyone. But at the same time, I'm being a bit reserved, you know, because at the end, when you're doing a festival like this in a different way than most people there, it's sort of you're again, you know, you're thinking about things in a different aspect. And I remember on the Sunday night, the last night of it was a 3-day event. I think I was probably about 3:30 to 4. I was at this particular stage, and I was standing just behind the stage because it was kind of like a dome, like a circular dome, and the stage is in the middle. But I was just on the outside where there's all these painters like doing live painting, and it was great. Like, and they had that every night. But yeah, I was standing there, and I was just with some friends of mine, and I saw this young girl. I'm guessing she was probably about maybe 18, 19. And I watched her going throughout the crowd, and she had like a big jug of water, and she was just wandering around, and she was just keeping people hydrated with this water. And I'm watching her, and then she came up to me at one point, you know, and she said, you know, would you like some water? And I had to say, sorry, what was that? Because the music's so loud. She said, oh, it's just water. There's nothing else. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So I had a drink and gave the water back to her, and, you know, danced a little bit more. And I just thought that was so good that, you know, like, because I mean, it's so easy to forget sometimes to stay hydrated at these particular types of things. Sometimes you just dance and you're having a great rave. And I remember that when I initially went to the festival to start with, I had this pendant that was gifted to me a while back, and like it's sort of a macrame with 2 gemstones in it, and it was brand new. I'd never touched it except just picking it up and putting it, in my bag. And, it still had like the tag on it and everything. So, it's not something that I felt like I really wanted for myself. It just didn't really feel, and, I was just thinking to myself, when I saw this girl at this festival doing what she was doing, just helping others, giving others assistance, I thought that was so amazing. I just thought that was such a heart, it was really a touching thing. And I thought that was just so special. And I just wonder how many other people around were looking at that and thinking, man, this person, that's amazing that, she wants to assist others and serve others in that way and just look after her brothers and sisters, and it just clicked. And that pendant was for her. So I went down to my tent, searched through my bag, found the pendant, went back up. And when I got back up, I couldn't see her for a little while. And then all of a sudden she appeared in the crowd with the water she was giving to others. And I walked straight over to her and I just said to her, what you're doing with water is like amazing. It's so beautiful. And you're such a special person for doing this. And it means a lot to me when I see someone doing this, and I said, not many people may really show appreciation for this, but I said, I see you doing that, and I've taken notice, and I said, this is for you, and I pulled out the pendant and I showed it to her, and I said, it's brand new, and I tore off the tag, and I put it around her neck, and when I put it around her neck, I saw her face, and she just looked at me, and she just went. The light up, her face lit up, and she was so touched, and that just hit me, and that just blew me away. And she just grabbed me and she just hugged me tight, and she said, "With this is what I want to do with my life. I just want to help people." And that was the end of my festival experience. I went back to my tent, laid there, and I just went, wow. Sometimes we need to step out and be another person's experience. But that sometimes comes back to us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, but that's what I wanted to share. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that's a great story.
I do have a question about dancing.
Maybe she listens to the show.
So sober-wise, how did you find dancing? I mean, I know a lot of people, that's like one of their number one, things about getting clean and sober is like, well, I can't dance or whatever.
The thing is, like at the start, like probably the first day and a half, so it was like Friday afternoon, Friday night, maybe to like halfway through Saturday night. I still hadn't picked up the flow because it had been a while since I've these two festivals that I went to. I mean, I haven't been to a festival in 18, 19 months. New Zealand have festivals there, but they're a little bit scummy. At least the ones that I've been to in the South Island. I'd like to experience the North Island ones. I hear they're a little bit better, but so it'd been a long time since I danced, and it took me a while to get the rhythm back into it. But after a while, I just kind of just blocked out the thinking about everyone else around me, and I just got into it, And that's the thing. There was like two sets of two particular artists, which blew me away, and I danced for like an hour straight to both of them, and it was just great.
Yeah, good.
Now I found I just stayed hydrated. I had water, and I got some like organic energy drinks that really helped, so that was perfect.
Did you dress up like a pirate?
No, I didn't. See, I would look more like a stowaway.
Is there pirates?
Because you got a kind of pirate look to you already, right?
Yeah, I guess because I got a bit of a scar.
Yeah, you go like pirate real easy, I bet. Like you just throw out a patch.
Pirate up.
Done.
Yeah, well, compared to with the Janessa Project crew, they look like pirates, and I just look like some drowned shipwreck or something.
You're like the first mate.
I'll put a link to that. That's Tanner and Callie in the show notes.
Yeah.
I think they're legit pirates.
Yeah, like they look like pirates, and but that thanks to them though for taking me up and bringing me back safely. That was really good, really nice of them. Yeah.
Border jumping. Well, we're glad you got back safe and made it to the igloo.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess the next time we have you on the show, we'll be back across the pond.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a modern form of shamanism, right? The dancing, the especially electronic music, right? Like it kind of replaces the old traditional drumming and stuff like that. And you're dancing and listening to that. It is a high on yourself, right? Or you can get high on the music and the dancing.
Yeah, I guess you could. Like, I mean, it's different types of drumming, and it's like I did actually attend one workshop. It was actually on the Sunday morning, sorry. And that was like at 9 o'clock. So I like got 3.5, 4 hours sleep, woke up and went straight to this. And it was introduction to shamanic journeying. And that was great. That was good. Didn't last as long as I would have hoped for, but I took a little something small away from that. But, it's something that I've learnt about in the past. But, they do have like at certain spiritual aspects at these festivals, like certain workshops that cater to people. There's a lot of yoga. There's a lot of like yoga and sometimes meditation, but there's also things that sort of dive into little sort of metaphysical aspects. And some of them, especially Luminosity Gathering in BC, they did a lot of stuff regarding like permaculture and traveling and like even the study of psychedelic plants and how to work with them. And yeah, so like there's a lot of stuff like that.
It crosses over all that stuff.
Totally, yep.
Yeah, well, that was a great rundown.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the Igloo.
Yeah, good to have you here again.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me a second time, yeah.
Thanks to all you guys for listening. You guys are really going to enjoy the chat with Mr. Jay Dyer. I think so, anyway.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's great.
Tonight's a special one. We've got Jay Dyer here from jaysanalysis.com. He's got a podcast too, Jay's Analysis. He's been writing and speaking and lecturing on geopolitics and film analysis and religion, espionage, psychological warfare, really interesting stuff. And his latest book, Esoteric Hollywood, Sex, Cults, and Symbols in Film, it's doing pretty good. I think it was out a few months ago and it hit Amazon's #1 spot. And, really good timing to talk about that one. So welcome to the show, Jay. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad to be here. I'm sorry, I'm vaping.
Well, we're having a little coughing fit over here, too. That's,
it's the... I always have to do a little bit of meth before a show because I'm in Tennessee and I like to stay up late to do my shows. But anyway... Yeah, man, the book has been out, I guess, about 5 months. And then, like you said, it hit #1 on Amazon's Film and Hollywood category. And then the Goodreads score plus Amazon score is almost at 100 5-star reviews.
Wow.
So that's pretty good for 5 months. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's great. How long did it take you to write that? I mean, it seems to me like it would be an accumulation of a lot of your work over the years.
It was. I mean, it was kind of like, 6-7 years of blogging and just writing essays and stuff. And I was doing grad work at the same time, kind of back when I started doing it. And so I was doing a lot of writing throughout that whole period. Mm-hmm. And I finally just kind of collected it all together. And somebody, publisher asked if I had a book. And I said, yeah, I've got a rough outline. And took about 2 years to kind of get it fully mapped out, and should have a new one pretty soon. Actually, the process is a lot simpler, once you kind of go through it, then you know what to do. So I'm thinking most likely what I'll do is a sequel because this one did so well.
Yeah.
So I'll do like Empire Strikes Back, like, like Esoteric Hollywood, the sequel.
And you've obviously got plenty of content for that then?
Yeah, I think there's almost 1,000 posts at Jay's Analysis, or a little over that. So probably 140 or 50 film analysis now. And the book only has about 363 pages, but it's got probably 25 of my best analyses. But I've written a lot since then because the book was pretty much complete 2 years ago. So there's a lot more that could be in a new book, and then I've got a lot of ideas, for stuff to add, new material to add in the new coming book. So all of that'll be out probably in the next year and a half. So
right on. Absolutely. I guess we should probably give everybody a little bit of a hint of what's in the book and a little bit of the background then. It's Esoteric Hollywood, so do you get into all the symbolism in the movies, and how deep do you get into that? Very deep. Actually, yeah, it's 363 pages, and it's 404 footnotes, so there's a hefty dose of, basically backing up my arguments. It's not just me speculating, I think this triangle is an all-seeing eye, and maybe it means this. I come at it pretty serious because, if you go through a publisher, the publisher sends it to editors, and you have to, they fact check you, and you have to have your stuff straight. You can't just say whatever comes out of your butt. But the first section of the book is about 80 pages on Kubrick, and it's written at a college level. So it's pretty serious stuff. I think that everybody that reads the Kubrick sections is pretty much hooked. And the next section, and what I do is Eyes Wide Shut, The Shining, and 2001: Space Odyssey. And then the second chunk is a bunch of Spielberg films like Close Encounters, AI, Minority Report, and then kind of comparing him to H.G. Wells, because I think that H.G. Wells kind of really set the stage for not just science fiction, but also Hollywood. And I think he had an overlooked influence and impact on Hollywood. So I really try to cover that, everything from Island of Dr. Moreau to Time Machine. And that's also kind of written from like a literary college perspective, where like if you take a class on literary theory or something like that in college, you would do the kind of analysis that I'm doing. Yeah. And he probably had an underrated background as well that people don't really talk about a lot. That's all hidden because I'm a secret agent of the Illuminati. You can't talk about that. But the third section of the book is the 70s and 80s fantasy. So I talk about Logan's Run, Zardoz, Labyrinth, Neverending Story, Ridley Scott's Legend, Blade Runner, and then Ridley Scott's more recent Prometheus. And then the final section of the book is the last 50 or 60 pages on 007 and David Lynch movies and Hitchcock. And then it kind of concludes with a chapter on the coordination between Hollywood and the CIA. Perfect. So that's what you're looking at. But you also, added bonus, it took me actually another month or two. The book was already ready last summer, and the publisher felt like that I talked about so much material that a lot of the content actually needed to be defined. So I had to go back and write these little sidebars, and there's like 50 or 60 of those that took 2 months to do. So you're actually getting basically a textbook. It's not just a movie scandal book. It's a hardcore film analysis, philosophy, geopolitics, espionage, conspiracy, everything. Kind of wrapped in the costume of Hollywood, and that's what I do. Can you summarize like the theme of the whole thing? Like, so you're analyzing all these movies and stuff, and there's some great categories of them all there. But is there an overarching theme where this is purposeful symbolism and occult themes inserted into pop culture by a group of people, kind of thing? Absolutely. Yeah, the first chapter is the introduction is film as ritual, and I talk about how film is more than just entertainment. It's as a form of art. It's also kind of a ritual process, right? And many artists
see themselves as shamans in a way. So I think you could argue Kubrick and David Lynch see themselves that way. And so the artwork is kind of their transmission from whatever spiritual forces or government forces influence them.
Right.
So that's yes, you're absolutely right. That's the overarching theme of the book, is that the arts and Hollywood in general are conveying much more than the surface level reading of what we think they're conveying.
Right.
And it becomes especially clear when you look at not just the esoteric stuff, but also the espionage stuff, because there's so much embedded in, James Bond stories, Bond novels, and movies that you might not expect are actually based in reality. I mean, obviously not everything, but a lot of what Ian Fleming wrote was based in reality. So yeah, that's the approach I take when I'm looking at the sci-fi stuff. I'm looking at, transhumanism, how we're being conditioned to accept that. I'm looking at esoteric stuff in 80s films, like how Never Ending Story was actually the author, Michael Enda. He was actually basing the whole kid's story on Crowleyanism, which most people don't know.
Wow.
But that guy was a big time theosophist and Crowleyan. So what you're actually getting in the Never Ending Story is this elaborate Gnostic presentation of cosmology. So all kinds of stuff like that, just in a lot of places we wouldn't suspect, especially kids' movies.
As far as intention goes, I've always felt like Hollywood or some group of people come out with these movies to either debunk or make light of a subject that's actually going on, right? Like, for example, one of the things, I was just in the movies the other day and I watched all the previews coming on, and there was one for this movie Geostorm, right, which is about like man-made weather weaponry. And lately that's been coming up more and more as all the the patents for weather modification and all this stuff. And I feel like every time something's going to break open, a movie comes out about it to basically just make everybody think it's just bullshit and entertainment. Is there a theme? Is there that type of theme going on too? Whether it's about like UFOs or disclosure or weather modification or whatever it is.
Yeah, for example, one of the more revealing, goofy, satirical way films about weather modification is the 1998 adaptation of The Avengers. And I don't mean the Marvel Avengers. I mean the Avengers that was the 60s British TV show, the spy show.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the 1998 film version with Sean Connery and Uma Thurman and Ray Fiennes, you learn that the whole plot that Sean Connery's character is up to, which his name's Prospero, it's based on Shakespeare, The Tempest, is that he's modifying weather. And he's going to use HAARP as basically a kind of blackmail operation against different countries that don't go along with his globalist agenda. and it also includes mind control, MK Ultra. And the Uma Thurman character actually gets programmed with mind control, and she has alternate personality, split personality. All this kind of stuff is embedded in this very goofy movie. And that movie was I don't think it's that bad, but it was voted like worst movie of the year, got Razzies. But sometimes, yes, you'll find that satirical, goofy movies actually will at times have very revealing conspiratorial plots. The recent Charlie's Angels movies had very conspiratorial, revealing plots. There was another one I had on my mind I was going to tell you. Josie and the Pussycats, actually, that goofy rom-com, that actually has the military-industrial complex basically socially engineering people through pop music. That's the whole plot of the movie, is that they create trends. But as you said, it's presented in this very lighthearted, comedic, satirical fashion. And so I think on one level, yes, there is a layer of very out there deep state stuff that's real, like weather modification or stuff like, programming mind controlling people through pop music. That comes out in something that's kind of kitschy and goofy and silly.
Yeah, and even in these...
But very real.
Yeah, even in these international intrigue type movies, like almost every one now has this, this dark villain, obviously, who's into global, control and tracking over something. Like even the latest Fast and the Furious has the whole global thing, right? And they've all got the latest tracking. Like they're just making it like cool that, basically they're glorifying the NSA technology or whatever technology is out there, and they all seem to do it.
Yeah, the plots of the movies are usually, we've got to do all the spying because there's a bad guy who's going to do it if we don't. Right, so if we don't watch you, some other criminal's going to. But of course, the people watching are the criminals. And actually, the last Bond movie, Spectre, that was the whole plot, was that Blofeld basically had backdoor technology, and that he was had a bunch of moles inside British GCHQ, which was spying on everybody, and Blofeld was going to use this spying tech to rule the world and all this kind of stuff. And, that was actually based on roughly the character of Soros. And it kind of hinted at leaks from WikiLeaks and Snowden and all that kind of stuff, which I generally take a lot of this as kind of theatrical. Even in the mainstream news, it's somewhat theatrical. So I tend to be skeptical of all this stuff. But there's no doubt that Spectre was a prime example of predictive programming. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there any other, anything more recent that's down those lines?
That's a good question.
All those Transformers must be.
They seem like that too, yeah.
I kind of gave up after the first Transformers. I was kind of done with those. So I haven't actually seen I think I saw that one about the moon. That was very bizarre, Dark Side Moon. That was the last one I saw. So I haven't seen the new ones, but trying to think if I saw something recent that was heavily propaganda. Probably, if you think back to the last Star Trek, this is probably the most recent heavily. I mean, Doctor Strange had a lot of really crazy esoteric stuff in it for sure. So I could include that, but I wouldn't really say it's predictive programming. But the Star Trek, I forget what was it called. I titled my analysis something like "Social Justice Warriors in Space" because that's basically what it was. They were like, anybody who wants to retain their cultural identity, they're the terrorists, and they're going to blow up, the Federation's big capital city, which is basically New York, and all this kind of weird, social justice warrior programming, which is a long time. That's been a long time theme in Star Trek, but that one comes to mind. Social engineering, but
well, even
weird. I'm a Trekkie and I didn't get social engineering.
You didn't catch that?
Luckily, I got through that
without getting brainwashed.
Am I a social justice warrior?
No, I don't think so. No, you made it through that one. Okay. So, but even the Transformer ones you guys were talking about, I think the latest one, I saw that, and it even had this global. The Transformers, they kind of merged with the global, there's a global military industrial complex now, and there was a resistance movement that seemed, it all seems so, kind of like exaggerates where we're at and doesn't make it seem as bad that we're heading there in a way. Like it just seems to justify all this globalist, stuff that's going on in a way.
Yeah, I think the movies work on many levels. So at times they're there to maybe demonize one country. The CIA was actually involved in movies like American Sniper and Zero Dark 30.
Yeah.
Those were there to prop up, the American mythology.
Yeah.
Sometimes movies like Argo or something like that comes out to demonize Iran or to kind of stoke again old tensions from the 70s about how we're supposed to view some Middle Eastern country or something like that. So a lot of those directly Pentagon CIA influenced films, a lot of those have a basically time contingent propaganda purpose.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes something else like Doctor Strange might come out and it has this very deep esoteric perennial philosophy type agenda that's all about
spirituality,
other dimensions and all that kind of stuff. So it just depends. That's a good question, though. I guess I should have been more up on recent movies.
No.
I'm not really very up on recent movies, so.
No, I was going to ask about the DND, like the Department of Defense and the Pentagon influencing them as well as the CIA, because I know that the DoD is definitely lending hardware and shit, and I thought they had some script control because of that. Like, here, we'll lend you these these planes and ships and all, but we want to review your script and tweak it a little bit. And then the other comment I had was. Actually, let's just stop there for now. I can't remember what my other one was.
Well, if you saw a couple days ago, there was the WikiLeaks retweeted the leak that dealt with Tom Secker requested a FOIA on Pentagon influence in films late. And so there was a leak or a FOIA request that was released of 1,800 recent films.
No way.
Yes. Look this up. This article went viral.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Medium.com from a few days ago, and this is what I've been saying for a long time, as well as other people, that it's not just this or that film that you have a hard time thinking of one. It's like all this stuff. It's TV shows, to insert all kinds of messages that are related to military recruitment or related to interpersonal relationships and how you need to view genders and all kinds of just shit is put in all of these films everywhere. And there's bonuses. You get, additional money and funding if you add these messages. That's what the incentives are there for. But it also, it all serves this overall agenda of, basically, I think the Hollywood is just another arm of the CIA, is the best way to understand it. That Hollywood is the culture creation factory and the music industry of the CIA and the Pentagon. It's there to do that.
Seems like, go ahead.
Well, and another arm of more of the international globalists as well. Like I don't know if you came across any influence from the Lear Foundation at all, but they've apparently influenced with some of this social engineering stuff directly into a bunch of TV shows and movies as well, and they're proud of it. I mean, I heard a speech of this one of the spokesperson from Lear Foundation talking about how they've influenced this and they've thrown this little tidbit in this script, and it's disgusting.
It's basically a covert version of, like, if you listen to NPR or National Public Television or whatever. If you listen to NPR, they'll be like, this segment paid for by a grant from the Gates Foundation, right? You hear that all the time, and that's on purpose. And so basically NPR is a great example of an open Pentagon propaganda front. But people think that, Hollywood is a bunch of private companies, and so therefore it's not different, because all of those private companies are all tied into the same global economic combine. And that's why there's been so many books and mainstream books that have been written about the history of the connections between the mob, different mafias, and entertainment and Hollywood, and different drug cartels. They all tie in together. And so there's one level of distinction between private and public, and Columbia Pictures versus DreamWorks or something like that. But really at the top, you're dealing with a lot of power players who are involved in a lot of the same stuff. And there's a lot of people from the CIA will go and write scripts for movies. Yeah. And this is well known. And like you said, you were talking about Pentagon and influence. There are other books before mine that were written not so much about esotericism, but just strictly about the influence of the CIA and Pentagon by academics. So there's mainstream academic publications that have been around for years discussing the interplay between those supposedly different worlds.
So the thing I don't understand, and having heard all that, and before we move on to different sort of topics, so why would they allow a movie like this new one that comes out with, is it Tom Cruise and the whole cocaine smuggling out of Colombia or whatever? That, if you ever seen the reviews of that, like, they're glorifying this whole government of the U.S. getting involved in drug smuggling, and he was their puppet or whatever. And they glorify this whole thing, but they say, it's based on a true story and all. So now are they why are they coming out with movies like that are so damning against, like, do they think just people don't care, or is this to just Hollywoodize that whole theme, or do they know that the cat's out of the bag? Because now everybody knows that the CIA is running drugs, right? So,
well, the CIA has been co-opted.
Been co-opted by who?
The CIA was started by the CIA was started by basically the Rockefellers. It was Rockefeller Private Intelligence, and prior to the creation of the CIA at the behest and request of Rockefellers and other power players, there was already private intelligence known as the Inquiry, which was a gathering of a bunch of academics. So the whole spy world comes out of the academic world,
right?
And most of those universities from which they came were universities that were and are run by grants from these big foundations. So the CIA was never like some heroic thing. It was always the private enforcement army of the bankers. And if anybody doubts that, I would just recommend reading either Carol Quigley's Tragedy and Hope or Servando Gonzalez's book, Psychological Warfare in the New World Order, where he details basically the whole history of the CIA back to those big families. So it's basically just private intelligence for big mafia families is the best way to understand it. So it's always been this way. And the history of all the major networks is all people out of the OSS. Sarnoff, Haley, they're the guys who started and headed, CBS, ABC, NBC. They're at the ground root of the big networks. And so network television was always intended to be mind control and social engineering from the very beginning. That was his whole purpose. Yeah,
it's hard for me to wrap my head around that.
Well, just read Daniel Estlin's book on Tavistock, which is, I've read other books about Tavistock, but his is pretty good because it's brief, man. It's just like 200 pages. Here you go. Here's a bunch of quotes from Tavistock documents, like Changing Images of Man out of the 1940s.
Yeah.
Basically planning the future that we live in now.
Yeah, that's really what I also wanted to. I've been dying to get into it with you. It's refreshing. I've been listening to some of your podcasts, and you've been talking about the influence behind all the social engineering, right? Like a lot of people are talking or giving voice to the Tavistock problem and all this stuff that really goes back. There is a trail to this social engineering and stuff. Like this is actually coming true 20, 30 years later and longer from what they've been planning. So I wanted to get into that a bit. Yeah,
and again, you need to look no further than the Rockefellers who put in the grant money for the beginning of the MKUltra programs, which dealt with drug manipulation and mind control. They put up the money for Dr. Ewan Cameron to open up his mansion facility testing grounds at Mount Royal in Canada. That was where a lot of the electroshock treatments were going on. He was testing the effects of large doses of LSD and electroshocks to, quote, repattern people, mentally speaking. And by the way, this goes on and on and on. I can give you, there's Jose Delgado's book, Physical Control of the Mind, one of the MKUltra doctors who literally just writes a book about mind control. Dr. John C. Lilly, another one of the MKUltra doctors who famously did all the LSD tests on dolphins to see how
float tank guy, right?
Yes. Well, John C. Lilly wrote a book, Programming and Metaprogramming, where he talks about dosing kids with LSD and giving them a base programming, which they could later manipulate in life as they got older. And John C. Lilly really thought you could control the population with LSD. So are you starting to see the pattern of counterculture, right? This is the stuff that, Dave McGowan talks about in Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, that the counterculture comes out of these social engineer guys who were dosing all these people with LSD. Don't forget Alfred Kinsey, who was fiddling with all the kids and children in his science experiments to see how to mess them up sexually. That was also paid for by Rockefeller money. So again, it all goes back to the same families putting their money into the founding of sociology. Comes out of the University of Chicago, and that was all paid for by the Rockefellers. Feminism in the modern world paid for by the Rockefellers, Abby Rockefeller. So it's all out there. There's no question about this being a conspiracy. It's all documented in the mainstream books by the guys involved in the programs. They write books about it.
Wow. Yeah, we had McGowan on, and we also had Estelin on a while back, but we tried to have him on again, but it just didn't. We tried like 3 times, and we couldn't connect with him, but maybe that's the book that, Darren, that's the book we should probably talk to him about, that Tavistock. Wouldn't that be fascinating?
Yeah.
So I really think the problem now for them, the elite in this regard, and why there's such a backlash in the political climate is because I'd like to know what you think about this. The Clinton Foundation's being sort of uncovered for a real vehicle of influence from foreign powers, and it's sort of bringing up this whole problem with charities and foundations. And, you've mentioned that already, that these foundations are going way back decades now. This is how they fund all these initiatives, right? So now people are realizing that the money that goes into these things isn't being used for good a lot of times. And, so I think this is really why the big backlash is here, is because the potential end of this slush fund money laundering through foundations is here.
Yeah, I've done a few videos on Clinton Foundation and how that's kind of an exemplary case of what you're talking about.
Right.
And they're just really recent newcomers to this model.
Right.
You go back to the Reese Committee investigations, which looked at the Carnegie Foundation, in the Ford Foundation, and others, Rockefellers too, and they noticed. I guess those were several decades ago, but they noticed all these same things, that they were actually controlling and changing, altering education in America, basically to dumb it down. Stuff that Charlotte Iserbyt talks about. That was all part of the Reese Committee hearings. So it's known. That's not a question. But the model of how you do all this with a private tax-free foundation is really the trick of the big level players. I mean, mobsters don't figure this out until they get, big level and turn, quote, legit. That's why all you got to do to understand this is just watch the third Godfather. That's the one where Michael Corleone realizes that when you're a big global player, you need a tax-free foundation to launder all your money through, and then you can influence politics much easier than if you're a taxable, multi-million-dollar private
casino
company
or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's literally what Michael learns in the third Godfather.
That is too much. So I see, this is the thing. I didn't really grasp that this has been going on for so long until, last year or two, realizing, how bad some of these more contemporary ones are. So it's really good to know that this has been going on for millennia, probably. I mean, at least the last 100 years.
It seems to be becoming blatantly obvious, though, especially in the news, in the mainstream news.
Yeah.
It seems like you can't recover from this. There's no coming back. Either you're win or I don't know how they bounce back. Maybe they were already on the way out. Well,
I hope, but I mean, I think we've got a long way to go before any kind of real change happens. I mean, the main power that the globalists have is the monetary system. That's the main way that they can control entire nations and continents. And so any nation state, for example, that tried to ever back away from globalism, they have basically the entire banking structure of the rest of the world to do economic terrorism through the IMF and World Bank. You can wreck one nation's economy. You can set up tariffs, sanctions, so that you don't bring any of their products into your country. I mean, that was really why the globalists for so long were behind free trade, as well as Karl Marx. Marx and Engels were also supporters of free trade because they understood that it would have this wrecking effect to destroy nation states and bring in the new model of the mega power block, the continental power blocks, which would then be integrated into a global power block. So, yeah, the Atlanticist Anglo-American establishment has the upper hand, and they have had the upper hand since the 20th century because they, as Dr. Quigley says, engineered the last two world wars, and those two world wars effectively weakened any potential resistance in Germany or Russia. So Germany and Russia were basically effectively neutralized from World War I and World War II, and then, of course, the Cold War And that's why, what you see in geopolitics and the news nowadays is basically the mopping up exercise where they're really trying to move into the final phases of absolutely no opposition from any corner of the globe. And then, it moves into the next phase of, what Brzezinski talks about between two ages, the new age, the new age of technocratic AI dominance.
Yeah, right. I was just going to ask you about, the changing of the guard, right? Brzezinski and Rockefeller passing away, right. and this in this time, is there a new guard like the technocrats and these guys like Zuckerberg and Google, and are they the ones that are really going to start influencing things that have been grooming them for a while? Like, how do you see the guard changing? And if Brzezinski and Rockefeller even did die, I haven't heard any conspiracies about them being alive, but it wouldn't surprise me if they sort of felt this thing crumbling and wanted to get out or something. I don't know.
I tend to think that they died. I haven't thought of any or heard of any. But I think that it's. I mean, Brzezinski wrote his book in 1970, and he was just echoing what H.G. Wells, Bertrand Russell, and prior technocrats and futurists had planned and wanted to see in terms of transhumanism and technocracy. So Brzezinski was basically saying in 1970 where we would be at right now in 2017. So they knew where it was going to go, and that would require basically completely committed cult member technocrats like people you're talking about, like Schmidt at Google, Regina Dugan from DARPA to Google, Cass Sunstein at the NSA. I mean, these are the characters who are, sort of taking the reins. Mm-hmm. Not so much of the monetary influence, the banking influence and all that. The assets are still going to be in these big bloodline families. That's not going anywhere. But they have a managerial class, and that's the technocrats that we're talking about, who are going to actually run the system.
Right, the foot soldiers, the elite foot soldiers, like
CDC.
That's what I think of the Bilderbergers. Like they're just like the pawns.
Must be in there too. The CDC.
Oh, absolutely.
And all that shit.
Yeah. These are. I mean, the whole corporate world, Fortune 100, Fortune 500. These are essentially controlled by the big families who have the basically the controlling shares in most of these companies. I mean. There's that study that was put out a few years ago. There's a whole TED Talk on it. I wrote an article on it, where they've actually graphed out the network of a few families and companies that literally can control the global market. So this is not a conspiracy anymore. It's known.
Yeah, I remember that coming out.
Where do you think these new groups like Antifa fit into the grand scheme of things?
I'm not positive, but I would tend to think that that was cooked up, just like Black Lives Matter, by probably some kind of Soros-type funding. And then that is there to kind of be a dialectical opposition to fake far-right movements. I'm not saying everybody on the right or far-right is fake. I'm just saying that that's there to be a foil to the alt-right or something like that. Because I think they knew eventually there's going to be backlash with a lot of this stuff that's being pushed through, and people are going to start, choosing different political options and getting involved in opposing globalism. So I think they want to have a lot of ready-made traps for
Solinsky type stuff, right? I mean, they're really accusing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry.
So yeah, I think that Antifa is 100% completely a created, fake thug run type thing, exactly after the model of Solinsky, like you said.
Yeah, it's crazy what's going on. I mean, I just don't understand.
I mean, they just came out of nowhere, dude. I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Suddenly there's Antifa now that Trump's, running. It's like, oh, where the heck did these people come from? They're just like, suddenly there's all these guys in black, masks running around. That doesn't happen apart from, like advertising it in magazines.
Well, when did the definition of fascism change too? I mean, it's technically probably been a fascist, all the Western countries have kind of been more fascist to the original definition, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, I mean, even Eric Blair or George Orwell wrote decades ago that fascism is just a made-up word that you use to scare people. You just stick that on anybody that you don't like. But I mean, yeah, the technical definition is just a merger of the private and corporate worlds running the government. So that's exactly what we have, ironically.
Fuck.
Or actually, yeah, not that ironic. Because everyone knows it's so blatant, and nobody it's like,
well, I don't think people know what to do. They can't, it's hard to get out of the trap. You can. Go ahead.
The irony is that the money that funds Antifa comes from the people that they think they're opposing.
Yeah, that's exactly. So what I can't wrap my head around is as far as this future prediction of the technocrats and the technocratic, state, like, how did they know back then that it was going to be like this, like with the technology on? I mean, I just can't even wrap my head around how they could have even foreseen that we were going to be in this state. But when you read stuff like
Unabomber Manifesto,
yeah, or Huxley stuff, or it does just seem like they, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's ways to. I mean, believe me, I think that there's ways we can read the future, and they were probably tapped into some higher realm, I would tend to think.
Well, there's that possibility, and there's also the fact that I think a lot of technological discoveries are made a long time ago, but they're kept secret.
Oh, right. And yeah, that's the other thing.
The establishment's very good at keeping secrets, and so what they do is if some new revolutionary tech is discovered, it's going to be kept secret for a long time because they don't actually want markets being revolutionized or changed. They want things to continue at a certain pace. And a great example of this is the documentary Light Bulb Conspiracy that talks about planned obsolescence and how
the light bulb meetups and all that shit, those motherfuckers. When I was in Oregon, there's a church there that has a light bulb that's been burning since like 1908 or some shit. And it was, if you look at it, it was before the whole light bulb thing, group or whatever formed.
Well, what's interesting about that documentary is that they talk about all these examples of products that are intended to fall apart after a year or two. And they could easily make products that would last 10, 20, 30, 50 years, but they intentionally don't. And that actually ties into the point about technology being suppressed because they want, like oil. I'm not saying that oil is bad. I think there's, it works good, but I'm sure that there's more advanced stuff than oil.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not going to allow that to change the market anytime soon, precisely because the world is not the way free market libertarians think. It's not based on innovation and whoever has the best idea. The world is based on complete and total control and underhanded, dirty tactics and practices, and they kill people over inventions.
Well, and they're using that technology as well. I mean, there is something going on with the secret space program, and how these globalists that we're talking about fit into that, I don't even know, and I can't even speculate if it's some of these guys like Brzezinski or if it's a whole different level of humans that are running around in these high-tech craft flying around in them. But I mean, they don't want this stuff to come out to the commercial market because that's in their in their back pocket, right? They don't even want to use that in wars or anything like that. I mean, they have technology that could do a lot more damage to the enemies as well.
Space program is a good example because Brzezinski talked about that also in 1970 would be the space race and controlling space and all this stuff. And my view is that if you look at, this is just my opinion, if you look at SETI, I don't think SETI is about searching for extraterrestrials. My just opinion, is my speculation, is that what do you think they would use a giant multi-million-dollar dish for?
Defense?
What's more devious? I think it's related to surveillance or harm.
Yeah.
I think that they were saying that a lot of this stuff in the 70s and 80s was being set up for interplanetary defense or missile defense or asteroid defense or some bullshit like this. And I think what they were really doing was setting up the global NSA surveillance grid and the internet. I think that's what they were really setting up. Now, what's beyond that in terms of aircraft and advanced aircraft, I don't know or claim to know. I think that whatever the UFO phenomenon is, it is this advanced technology that, has been suppressed. Probably anti-gravity type stuff or something like that. Where they got it is anyone's guess. Maybe they're all tripping acid and invoking Lucifer, and I mean, that might be what's going on. I mean, that's what Watson claimed, right? I mean, didn't he see the DNA helix while he was tripping or something?
Yeah.
Then the guy who did the Hubble telescope said that he was tripping and he saw an elf. An elf came and told him to get money from the Rockefellers to build the Hubble telescope. I'm not joking. That's the official story.
I don't think I've heard that one.
I got some mushrooms. I should hit those guys up for some money. What could I do?
Grimerica,
we'll make a telescope. We'll make something.
If Terrence McKenna and a Clockwork Elf come to you, they'll probably instruct you who to get your money from.
Perfect.
But
why do you think, I don't know, to me it seems like I didn't really, maybe it's just because I wasn't paying attention, but the whole, the amount of fake bullshit news, not just mainstream, everywhere, seems to be so much harder to sift through in the last, 24 months, or 12 months, even.
Yeah, I think this was an intentional psychological operation to be the future justification for cracking down on the internet.
Right, yeah. Wow. That's pretty deep, but yeah, I can see that. Hey, Darren? This is how they're gonna gain that digital control, right? Is everybody's got to be licensed, everybody needs permission, they're gonna have to be verified.
Well, they also want to convince the public of those things. So they don't want to just do it. They want people to believe that it's the right thing to do. And to get people to believe that, you have to try to pass off these goofy ideas like, the Trump stole the election because of fake news and hackers in Macedonia were posting fake Facebook videos, and Trump colluded with Russia and Russia hacked the election. And see, it's all a danger because of fake news and manipulation on the internet, So I think they really want people to buy into this, but it doesn't seem to be working on just a base level. I don't think most people are.
I know CNN's had to delete and re-upload their app at the Canadian store 3 times in the last month.
It couldn't get any better. They really didn't see. I went in to check for myself because I'm like, is this fake news? I'm going to go in and check my app in the App Store and see. And it was a couple thousand 1-star reviews.
270. I'm going to see if they've.
But that's pretty deep. That's deep psychological warfare. I mean, the people that are propagating this don't even know that that's what's going on, right?
If you doubt me, just read Cass Sunstein's article on. He wrote a famous essay back in 2008 on cognitive infiltration and fake news on the internet. And basically, that's what he theorizes. And he, by the way, was eventually appointed head of the NSA. So you're not talking about a small time player. You're talking about Harvard lawyer who writes philosophy papers on psyops. And they talk about these very things.
That's crazy. How's the app there, Darren? Did you check it out?
It's up to 350 again.
1 stars?
It's up to 1.25.
Oh, wow. Yeah, doing good.
The top 3 are fake news, fake app, awesome if you want to pollute your mind.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that is pretty funny. So oh man, I got a couple questions here, but I mean, talking about the this influence and whether it can be on some sort of supernatural thing. I mean, I did get the sense 6 months ago, a year ago, that it's hard to ignore the the supernatural aspect to this political polarization, like, and I started thinking, and I know you're into religion and stuff like that, and you're a Christian, but I started thinking about it, like, is this good versus evil too? Like, is this, or that's probably not very, that's probably too objective to say that, but is there, when we had this guy on that was writing this blog about Pepe, and the amount of synchronicities and craziness going on with that whole thing, and even Hillary acknowledged Pepe. Like, is there a spiritual war going on here in the background as well?
Well, I mean, in one sense, I would say this spiritual warfare does, in a way, translate into politics and geopolitics, but I wouldn't push that point too much, because I think the majority of politics is theater and theatrics and not real anyway. I think that the plan of the global elite marches on despite who's in office. So I don't really put too much stock in that. But on another level,
at the higher level,
when they're trying to teach kids about anal sex, and they're trying to basically evangelize for pedophilia and make it lawful, I think you're looking at stuff that is straight up dark forces and satanic. And I mean, that's more or less what's been coming out, in relationship to Jimmy Savile and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, it's not hard to go there with that, that there is this stuff coming out and it's not fake. This is what's happening.
It's coming from all sides, that one too, right? You're getting it from far right and you're getting it from far left.
Yeah.
In the form of like Milo and what's the gay Star Trek guy? George Takei. Yeah.
Oh, you mean? Oh, I see what you mean. You mean normalizing this whole thing? Yeah.
Right. I think those are definitely examples of spiritual darkness, and then I think that's going to keep pressing forward, because it doesn't stop. Basically, where does it end? It ends in like human sacrifice, cannibalism, bestiality. I mean, that's really, there's no other places to go beyond that.
Right. So,
but I mean, all those things vindicate, I think, that people would laugh at things that are in the Bible or the Old Testament or ancient religious texts or something like that. But I mean, we're seeing this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So to me, it doesn't seem that it's like, well, you think I'm crazy for believing this. Well, I mean, this is what's actually going on in the world. So at least I have some kind of map or, guide or explanation for what's going on here.
Right.
That I think makes sense.
What do you think about the middle part of spirituality, like the Church of Experience? Like, we talked to a lot of people on the show and a lot of our listeners who have had awakenings, or they've had downloads where they've, got all this information that they're sharing. So whether it's like a channeling aspect or a personal transformation through, meditation or psychedelics or whatever the case, NDEs, OBEs, like there's a large list of stuff that's happening to people that make them realize that we're not in this materialistic society. Like, we're in a schizophrenic society where most of the people and love and yourself have had these experiences. There's something more to life, but we're living in this paradigm that says, no, we're just a bunch of, materialistic, robots. So what about that middle ground, right? The people that are waking up to their own sort of personal experiences.
I think that those experiences at times can be good, but I think there's also a danger of trying to seek out just a mystical experience and not trying to be grounded in a coherent worldview and have a basis for both rational, logical analysis of facts and also metaphysics and intuition and spirituality. I think that all those things kind of have to be balanced. But I would caution against seeking out a quote mystical experience, just precisely because those things can be very deceiving. We can feel like we contacted something or experienced something through some synthetic means, like a drug, a rape, something goofy like that, and that really does dupe a lot of people into thinking that they had a legitimate experience because they took a bunch of ecstasy at a Chemical Brothers concert or something like that. Which I'm not saying that person can't have had a real, quote, spiritual experience, but they might have had a demonic experience. They might have had a negative experience, which I think is also very real. So I would say with what some of the Orthodox fathers say, like St. Gregory Palamas, he cautions people against seeking spiritual experience, and rather we kind of already have established means and practices for approaching the divine. Of course, for me, I think that's Orthodox theology, but I would just tend to be leery of those things. And you're going to have enough difficulty, and you can have enough spiritual phenomena going on in your life without having to seek out necessarily some radical event. In other words, instead of looking at like a single event, I think we need to be looking at like every single day what's going to change my life, what's going to change my perspective, what's going to get me grounded in a solid worldview that I can approach every single day to, rather than some single life-changing mystical event, which may or may not happen and which may or may not be good.
Yeah, that's interesting advice, because I'm sort of more of a spiritual new agey kind of guy than religious, but I've looked into, and I know enough people that have had personal experiences with whether it's like incubus or succubus, or I've read a couple books on demonic possession, like The Rite and stuff like that, and it really does make me think, like, it really does seem like there's something going on, and you do have to be careful with how you approach those other dimensions,
Oh, absolutely. I think those worlds and spiritual realms and planes are very real, and they're not to be taken lightly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with Ouija boards.
No, for sure not. No, we did that as kids, and were we talking about that on the show, Darren, the other day, when I just realized that could have been around the time we had that ghost experience too?
No.
Yeah.
No, that was off on your own.
That wasn't here.
So I guess it's just going to amplify then, that we could just look at this getting worse until, at this point, I assume, from your perspective anyway, we're well past the point of no return?
No, I don't think that at all. I have a very positive view. Hello?
Is that what you meant, Darren? What did you mean by no return?
Well, just with the politics and the fake news and the division, and it just seems like it's all getting a whole lot worse before it gets better.
Well, that may be true, but I look at the history. I did a lot of history in undergrad and grad school, and on my own, did a lot of historical research. And there's cycles in history and patterns in history, so I'm not too worried about, the end of the world or any of that kind of stuff. I don't think that's coming anytime soon. We could have 10,000 more years of all kinds of changes. We don't have to be pessimistic. I'm certainly not, but I also have a religious perspective that informs why I wouldn't necessarily be pessimistic. But I think truth wins out in the end, and the globalist system is based on flaws. It's based on bad anthropology, based on Darwinism. And I think because those things aren't actually true, that the system that they try to put into play and overlay is eventually going to be so harmful even to the minions of it that it's going to be very difficult to get it into place. And even if they have like AI trying to run everything, I'm not sure that's necessarily going to work out, because you still got to have people running these computers and working on these computers. So no, I don't think there's any need to be fearful. But that's kind of long term. I think for nation states as they are, yes, I think there is a big danger, and I think that they're definitely going to try to impose this global technocratic order. But I think it's just going to be so bad for so many people. It's going to be very difficult to try to get across that. To try to convince everybody to accept their own doom is not an easy order.
I feel like there's going to be a bunch of people just going off the grid. Like, if it gets that bad, it's just going to be like, fuck this. I don't want any of this, and they'll just opt right out of the system completely. I feel like there'll be like a separation or something between the techies and the people going back to the earth, kind of.
Could be, yeah, could be. I mean, there's a lot of different possibilities, but who knows what the future is going to be. I guess Brzezinski and H.G. Wells had a plan, but it's also partly up to what we choose. You know what I mean? It's not like it's all predetermined. I think that we have choices, and I also think that there's a sense in which if people go along with this, they also kind of willingly sign on to their own self-destruction. So I think, we're all ultimately kind of going to get what we deserve either way.
That's interesting.
That's kind of like the old, you get the government you deserve.
I don't know about that. I think he's talking more on a personal level.
Yeah, I'm saying like individuals who, choose to not hear and listen to what's true and be wise about their actions and planning for the future and all that kind of stuff, and, how they view friends and family and how they treat other people, and et cetera, et cetera. I think we're all ultimately going to, get our fair rewards.
Yeah. So, hey, I wanted to get your take on this, but I was thinking at the beginning of the show, now it kind of seems a bit irrelevant in a way, but it kind of jumps back to Hollywood in an indirect way, because since this whole political climate has shifted, I've really noticed all these stars, like big ones. I mean, whether it's like Madonna or Bono or Pink Floyd or who's that guy that from that old band, Darren, who am I thinking of? Tom DeLonge. Like, I mean, these people are just getting, and even some of the Hollywood stars are just getting really, really hateful. Like, are they just genuinely afraid that the infrastructure that they've built their whole, success on is changing, or are they being negatively influenced? Like, do you see any evidence of like actual manipulation there, or is it just that they're sincerely scared for their paradigm to change?
Probably all the above. I think that you're not talking about geniuses when you're talking about, A-list actors or musicians. You're talking about people who have been brainwashed by the subculture that they've been invested in for years. And for A-list stars, they worship their own fame and image, and so they buy into their own delusions. So I don't think that they really, maybe some of them understand
right
exactly what's going on, but maybe some of these people, a lot of these people have their minds bombed out on drugs anyway, so they may not even be there anymore. But I do think that, from their perspective, they're afraid that paradigm could collapse. Whether it actually will or is collapsing is a different question, but I think a lot of them generally are afraid that the liberal world order is not going to work according to their plans and what they bought into. I definitely think that that's happening. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I even feel like some of them, their message in the past would even contradict their views on the political thing now. Like, I mean, you got some people like, whether it's Pink Floyd or some of these other sort of, not really counterculture, but alternative in a way to the mainstream, and they're just surprising me with their hate.
Some of these people also could be virtue signaling to fit into or get work, fit into the cult in Hollywood, or to get work in Hollywood.
Yeah, maybe.
So they might just be playing to get work, because if you remember in one of the Podesta emails or one of the WikiLeaks, I forget what, but there was Hillary and the Democrats were actually funding and ordering different programs and messages by Colbert.
Right.
So if you're Colbert and you want to whore yourself out, what you're going to do is virtue signal that you are, pro-Hillary. There's a good chance down the road that you're going to get, some Clinton Foundation money for the Daily Show.
We should try that.
Yeah, just try it out. Yeah.
See if it goes. Can't hurt.
No, it can't hurt. It'll hurt us spiritually,
It'll
Darren.
definitely hurt. Yeah, immediately.
The truth will come out.
So I think I'm gonna have to head pretty soon. But,
I just wanted to ask you about your future with. I think you got a project with Jay Wiedner or something as well. I just want to give you a chance to talk about that before we shut her down.
Yeah, that's pretty much being wrapped up in post production. We filmed 17 episodes. I actually just today watched the first episode, and it came out really, really cool. I'm really happy with it. Super, super slick, professionally done. And that should air pretty soon. We're hoping, in the next month or two. I don't actually know how far they are in completing all the episodes in terms of the editing and production, all that. But we also are planning to film 6 more episodes. So the owners and everybody really liked it. So nice. That's a good. So I'm actually writing 6 new episodes for the show. But yeah, it's going to be called Hollywood Decoded. And should be out on Gaia pretty soon, the next month or two.
How do you get so much work done? I find it unbelievable that you do all your shows, your podcasts, your writing, it's unbelievable. How do you get it done?
You treat it every day like a job.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a night just a daily routine, just hitting the grindstone on it. Yeah,
it is a daily routine. You have to, and you're most effective from morning to early afternoon, and then you're kind of done.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes. Yeah.
And then you jump on podcasts after dinner, like this, and
exactly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have those hours stolen from us.
Right on, Jay. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Where can people just jaysanalysis.com, right?
Yeah, and to get the book, please don't get it from Amazon. Amazon undercuts authors. So if you would go to Jay's Analysis, and there's a tab at the top. There's also a picture where you can get signed copies of the book from me. Everybody loves it. 95% positive reviews. So, yeah, just order it from me, and I'll send you a copy. It'll get there pretty quick. And I also offer subscription for $4.95 a month or $60 a year for those who want to get into philosophy lectures, talks, interviews, all kinds of stuff.
Nice. Well, right on. Thanks, buddy. I'll put all those links in the show notes. And thanks so much for coming on and discussing all this fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. Anytime you guys want to talk again, let me know.
Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Ciao.
Have a good night.
That was a chat with Jay Dyer from Jay's Analysis. Good one.
I like it, man. I like all this deep historical stuff from the influencers, the elite, the stuff that I'm not really touching on very much, but every time I listen to some of that, I learn quite a bit. Right? There's a lot of organizations back then engineering us. I feel invaded.
Feel engineered?
Engineered.
Yeah, you look a little engineered.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not.
Thanks, buddy. That's a compliment.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Engineered my calves.
Oh, some people are worried you're getting sick of that. But I'd let them know it's fine.
That was good. That was a fun one with Jay. There's a lot. When you start looking at his website and all the stuff he's analyzed from Hollywood, all the movies and all the crazy stuff in there.
Yeah, there's tons. Yeah, you could spend hours, days.
He had one from Clockwork Orange. I mean, I didn't want to get into too many details with him about all the movies specifically, but there's a ton of cool movies in there that he's analyzed and that he's done reviews on.
Yeah, yeah.
I was running in Nose Hill Park and I was listening to his show and he was talking about, and he had this other lady on. He's on a Boilermaker podcast. I think it's a weekly show with 4 people and they do little segments and stuff like that. It's really interesting. But they're talking about him analyzing that Point Break movie, and this lady on the podcast has never seen all these movies that he's talking about. They're from the early 90s. And it's pretty funny. There's some really interesting stuff in Point Break. Do you ever see that one?
No.
Yeah, really? With Keanu Reeves.
I think I've seen the new one.
Yeah, I saw the new one too, yeah. That was pretty good, actually. I kind of liked it. For a silly movie like that. Extreme athletes. Extreme.
Just because you didn't make it as an extreme athlete, you don't have to be angry at the extreme athlete. You should have been off the bread back then.
Yeah. I didn't never want to be an extreme athlete.
Come on.
No, really?
No, yeah, you just fucking
I'm starting
radiate. I wish I was an extreme athlete.
I'm doing it now. Next year I'm going to do some backcountry skiing. That's my goal. To take my avalanche course and do backcountry skiing. So no more of that.
47 years
old.
old.
Runs.
Still chasing that extreme athlete.
Hey, I got to do it while I can, man. I won't be able to do that forever.
Well, you should have done it fucking 20 years ago.
Yep.
Oh, well, live and learn. I should do it now then. I'm still injured. Anyway, big thanks to Jay for coming on the show. Check out his stuff. Check out his YouTube. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Check out grimerica.ca/support for all the different monthly options. One-time donations you can do there to help keep us going and doing these commercial-free, uninterrupted chats. Coming at you for free every week. Of course, we did roll out our new program where we are rewarding our supporters with a couple shows a month. So I think there's a few 6 or 7 shows in there already.
The Black Budget support feed.
Yeah, Black Budget support feed.
Is this where we should talk about what we're planning on putting in there? Maybe like we're thinking about doing a full-on trip report show with
we should do that
Darren's and mine and listeners.
We should do that in the intros.
Should we? Okay.
Nobody's listening to this.
People might listen.
People. No, I think as soon as the guest signs off, they're out.
You think so? No, I think sometimes they like to hear the rundown, but then they leave.
Well, let us know if you heard this part.
Yeah. We should play a little secret at the end.
Play a whole secret episode, but they'd notice on their
having a cult section, a hidden
still
section.
Half an hour left.
Yeah, they'll be like, why is there so much time? They're fast forwarding 30, trying to get to it, and then all of a sudden they miss it.
Wow. There you have it.
That's what I'd be doing.
That's what he'd be doing. You could be doing it too. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week.
Somehow I built a rocket ship out of the stuff dreams are made and popsicle sticks. Please look at my rocket ship schematics. Tell me you can fly to the moon. Tell me I'm not a lunatic. I bet you think I'm the space cadet. I bet you think I'm the space cadet. No regret, I do not fret, 'cause I am a space cadet. In my hands I have a gas can and matchsticks. Yes, Earth is my home, but I need a vacation from all the sadness, the chaos, and dramatics. I'll let you do the countdown, 3, 2, 1, no hesitation. I bet you think I'm a space cadet. I bet you think I'm a space cadet. I bet you think I'm a space cadet. No regret, I do not fret, 'cause I am a space cadet. No regret, I do not fret, 'cause I am a dreamer. Look at my rocket ship fly by, trailing behind a silver streamer. I do not fret, 'cause I am a space cadet. No regret, I do not fret, 'cause I am a dreamer. Look at my rocket ship fly by, trailing behind a silver streamer.
Hailstorm damage got you blue? Sunburn get you let down? Well, introducing the new Chemtrails. Chemtrails are a convenient new chemtrail that we plow through your sky to ensure you with the haziest and non-blue sky that you could have. Chemtrails. Choose from our variety of geo-engineered aerosols loaded with toxic chemicals. Some chemicals may include barium, strontium-90, aluminum, cadmium, zinc, viruses of all sorts and varieties, and chafe, which actually looks like snow, but may actually be fibers coated with aluminum, desiccated blood cells, plastic, and paper. All chemtrails can be conveniently customized for your needs. Just ask our friend here, James Cruz. Chemtrails. James Cruz ordered the barium, strontium-90, and the chafe. And the chafe he chose was desiccated blood cells and plastic. Chemtrails.
So I'm sitting in my backyard getting sunburned constantly, and I hear this ad come on the radio. Chemtrails. Chemtrails. And what they can do for you is amazing. For 33 payments of $333, Chemtrails. No more sunburn. Thanks, Chemtrails. Chemtrails. Thanks, Chemtrails.
That's right, James. For 33 easy payments of $330, you too can have a hazy sky with zero sun and zero sunburn. With our brand new technology coming straight out of MIT, we fitted an airplane with nozzles, and we can come to any area in the world and spray your backyard. Chemtrails. Warning, warning, warning! Symptoms associated with chemtrails include aneurysms, strokes, heart attacks, and cancer. Chemtrails. Other side effects may include irradiated breast milk, anal leakage, jock itch, runny nose, irregular vaginal discharge, glaucoma, heavy metal poisoning, lockjaw, and low sperm count, persistent hacking, coughing, upper respiratory and intestinal distress, pneumonia, extreme fatigue, disorientation, lethargia, dizziness, splitting headaches, elevated arthritis symptoms, nosebleeds, blah blah blah, yada yada, etc. Doctors, blah blah blah, death. If you want it, we spray it. So get your Chemtrails today. Call 1-900-GRAY-SKY. That's 1-900-GRAY-SKY. That's 1-900-WEFUCKED.